ET, as you were saying, yeah, maybe they look for something a little less structured, something that doesn't have to rely on that long cooldown like the global silence and gives them the ability to take those fights more.
Okay.
Okay,
Not gonna
frequently.
lie, I forgot that hero was in the game, so that changes it up a bit. Um, I do think that the ult is pretty good for dealing with Bane, right? And both of
Hmm.
those heroes. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I like it. It's also kind of a deny pick, right? Because if Force Zoomers wanted to go for that, they just shift the Snapfire over to 3, and then they pick up Lion for Z-Freak, which is like a whatever lane, but it's locked down for the Storm. But I think D2 Hustlers, they're again ticking a lot of those boxes. I think Udomi and Monster still get to choose whatever heroes they want to play at the end of the day, whether or not they want to lane the Monster Dawnbreaker, if you're going to want the Monster Pango. But that's where, again, they're super flexible. But Moo Earthshaker, now I'm excited. Or Z-Freak Earthshaker. Again, they're so flexible. I think this is most likely a Moo Earthshaker, though, especially with how they set up their lane.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm actually wondering if the Dawnbreaker too is kind of a block pick, and like they were gonna kind of run that with the Snapfire because that's a pretty brutal combination as well. But I feel like this is probably a monster Dawnbreaker. They just need like that hero to be able to really run in and like actually tank some stuff. Otherwise, it's not going to be super effective this game.
Yeah, and it definitely is annoying in the same vein that the Abaddon would have been, where you're now healing up your allies whenever they get gone on. Of course, it's super obnoxious if you're the Spain because it's just impossible. As soon as that ulti goes down, you either need to cancel the grip, you're playing too close to your opponents. There's definitely that big turn factor. That's also where I like the Earthshaker a lot for four Zoomers, where the one time we saw Shaker versus Storm Spirit in this tournament, you have to be so careful on Mr. Genes. If he ever commits for a kill that he doesn't get extremely quickly, the Fisher lands and the chains land, and then he is very easy or very susceptible to getting chain stunned to just death. It's very easy for the Storm Spirit to get punished in this game.
Yeah, that BKB is going to be really important. And once he gets the BKB though, he's just going to be like going
Free.
around killing
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
So we'll see what his build looks like. But I do think that that'll be a really important item to kind of keep tabs on this game, and wherever that's at is going to determine the pacing. Um, Definitely feel like Zoomers, is got a more secure and powerful kind of team fight overall though now. Uh, D2 Hustlers, maybe could have gone that route for the team fight with their, like more team fight oriented heroes, but instead they've kind of went for this more like play scrappy, fight around the map, pick people off. But we'll see because Dawnbreaker can, depending on the type of game and role that Dawnbreaker's in, can really change that pretty quickly. Like you can have a team fight by yourself as Dawnbreaker if you're having a good enough game. So
Mhm.
it just depends on kind of what that hero shapes up into this game.
Yeah, I think a lot of what D2 Hustlers are going to want to do is going to depend on how strong a start they get for Monster, whether it is the Pango or the Dawnbreaker. So we shall see how that lane looks. Right now, don't really know much about it directly because neither side have taken any sort of clear-cut carry, saving it for the final picks here. And well, D2 Hustlers looking for the Yuma hero. They can't run the Monkey King again like they did the last time around, but the pool, honestly, I feel it didn't get really narrowed down too severely, although they took almost all of their reserve time to make the choice, and the Lifestealer will be the call for them.
Yeah, I think it's a really smart pick. They needed something that's going to be a little bit more self-sufficient, especially because if this is going to be a Udomi Pango, Pango into Snapfire ES is going to be pretty brutal for you. Of course, you have the shield crash reducing a lot of the physical damage that you're taking, but a lot of natural anti-armor, and you have to play in the face of both of those heroes. I feel like he's definitely going to have a more difficult time, so picking up a hero that's definitely going to be able to play a little bit more by himself, I think the Lifestealer will gel pretty nicely with Hustler's lineup.
Do you think they're just going to put the lion potentially with the Lifestealer? And I mean, does Divide play Pango at all and just move him into the like? I think Dawnbreaker Pango is pretty strong lane as well.
Yeah,
Although you are against Bane, so it can definitely that hero's not fun to play against no matter what. But I think you can make it work.
yeah, and they could do that. And Device played a lot of Pango, but at the same time, I also feel like you said, you kind of want a ranged hero to play versus the Bane. And I also think without the stun, yeah, you just don't have enough setup for the Celestial Hammer. So I think Monster would feel a little bit pulled back because Shield Crash, as good of a spell as it is, I don't think it's necessarily enough to actually beat into a lot of those heroes. So I
Yeah.
think it makes sense for them to set up the lanes this way. I'm just really worried about the Pango because again, that lane is gonna feel pretty rough for him. It's where the line might have done a little bit better, but I don't think you want to give away your offlane that much.
Yeah, you're right. And I think that especially with the Terrorblade, otherwise they're just going to get like bullied super hard. So Lifestealer should be fine in lane against the Earthshaker. That was kind of the thought process there, right? And Snapfire is not really going to put a ton of pressure on the Lifestealer. So it's just going to depend on what you can kind of find to do on the map to help alleviate some of the pressure and just walk poles and such.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny that new Life Stealer is almost like a counter to Earthshaker, because I remember way back when Shaker would just be the counter versus Life Stealer in lane, but I think that's where the attack slow can definitely end up catching you off guard and definitely winning a few more trades. Moo does need to be careful, especially once Yuma's in like that level 5, level 6 range, but that's also where I think Yuma has to be careful as well, because assuming that the Shaker is going to be moving up, getting that Echo Slam available to him, he could definitely chain feed in that lane as well. I think it's just really going to be up to Yodomi to try and hold down the fort.
Well, we shall see how it goes here as we move into game number 2 for Zoomers. Well, you guys said they're maybe looking a little bit better than what they put together in game 1. They're going to need to be, because it's really all or nothing at this point. If they lose this next game, they are out of the tournament, and well, the second we start, we actually have a couple of DCs here. So, not going to be getting underway just yet. Hopefully, we can get Mr. Bejeans back in fairly quickly. But, yeah, if you're 4 Zoomers, this just, it feels a bit more comfortable for them. Not sure if it'll work out for them, but game 1 just really seems to put them on the back foot, and they never really recovered. See, it is, yeah, okay, it is Mr. Jeans who is currently DC'd, so just need him back in here and we can get things underway. For now, though, everybody's taken all of, like, 2 steps out. Yodomi, though, Yodomi's already bought everything. He was pretty fast, so...
It's the pre-buy.
Right.
Your 5's
Oh my
always going to
God.
be on top of it with those items. But I think that's where Mr. Jeans, gotta toggle the hacks, gotta get himself ready. I know, I'm upset because Yuma isn't doing the thing with his mini-map, whatever. We'll see it in Game 3 if it does come out. That's definitely the pre-ritual. I don't think I've seen them lose a game where they do that, so I don't know if it is turning on the hacks, but we'll see. But that's where, I guess, the TB pick, we didn't get to talk about that very much. If you do get into those very late stages of the game, this TB is going to feel kind of uncontestable. I think that's where your only goal on 4 Zoomer's side was just to win that carry matchup, and Envy this time around will definitely have that play available to him. And we've definitely seen Terrorblade's kind of 1v9 in this tournament already, so it's definitely a big threat that they're going to need to play around. It's where if Monster messes up one of his Solar Guardians, or if you suddenly commit into a fight that you can't exit out of, 4 Zoomers are definitely going to keep you pinned down. Their kind of subtle lockdown is really good in this game with spells like the Fissure, the Searing Chains. They can definitely keep you in a position where Terrorblade can just beat into you.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that one thing that could happen, which tends to be like something that happens with E, is if he takes up too much of his team's farm, though, and he's like one of the only heroes that's getting really farmed, because maybe they do get a little behind early, getting like picked off by the Lion and the Storm and such. I do think the Zoomers could end up in a situation where all of Hustler's heroes will just like scale harder because they're soaking up more of that farm, because they're very hard to gank. They do not have the greatest catch on Zoomers until like Moo really gets going. So I do think this game is going to depend a lot on like Moo's pacing and then how well they use those early Fiend's Grips. If Zoomers can like keep the pressure up with Fiend's Grip, and then Moo gets like a good pacing and gets some kills with like a blink, they could definitely run away with the game as well. But that's kind of what Zoomers need to be trying to do, is get those big items and then make their plays, or their spells rather.
Yeah, especially early on, because the Ember Spirit, when you look at these targets in the side lanes, it is going to feel really hard to gank those strength heroes. He really doesn't have enough damage to get that fight going. So it's really going to be that 15-20 minute mark where Moo maybe is looking at the Ags or the Blink Dagger, and then I think they have enough, but it's definitely going to feel a little bit hard, because that's also where, you got the Dawnbreaker versus Bane. If they go on any fight in the bottom lane where Monster is already looking to engage, it's going to feel really easy for him to turn everything on its head.
Yeah, I mean, the Bane is kind of feeling just rough around the edges in this map, because like they do have an easy way to counter it immediately, and if that hero can't use its ult, it feels pretty worthless.
Not going to get a whole lot out of it other than, well, at least the lane setup right now. So that's going to be good news for Envy. Husky's annoying as hell in the laning stage, regardless of what sort of goes down later with the ult, but You are going against this duo, in particular, the Lion and the Dawnbreaker. We see it so often. Granted, normally the Dawnbreaker is in the support position in this scenario, but you hit level 2, level 3, and you just sort of try for that speculative first attempt onto really anybody who is sort of in position. A lot of teams and a lot of players still not quite ready for the amount of movement that you can sort of put together.
Here we go, though.
Husky getting hit up, but he was far enough back there, so he is going to be able to get back to the tower, but plays exactly like that. That hammer, I mean, it is a pretty substantial amount of movement compared to any other hero in a similar position.
Just so much damage, too. I mean, this hero is just like, you need the level of healing that Bane has to be able to sustain against it. He's went through so much regen already. You got the early magic stick, though, which is obviously great on Bane, and it's going to make it pretty hard for Husky to die in this lane unless he gets really out of position.
I think Monster is also one of the only people who's actually been able to make it work, but Husky does need to be careful. Husky's lucky he actually picked up the level 2, but this is also just really hard. I think Monster's out of mana, though.
Yep.
Yeah. Not going to be able to keep that one going, but just knock around the Bane a little bit, burn through the region as quickly as you can, make Husky's life as difficult as possible. He should still be able to get this, though. He's going for the pull. Got the half pull. So, even though he's sort of taking a beating, he can still try and make plays like that.
Yeah, one of the things that feels like the worst in this specific lane matchup is Bane Terrorblade does not feel great. Like, they want to use their meta, you know, and commit something, but it's hard for Bane to really assist TB in using meta, so they have to bait G2 Hustlers into some really aggressive positioning to make use of it. Which is, if you know you're not really that afraid of dying to the meta, then you can play really aggressive like that.
And I mean, look at Monster. He's at 1,000 HP already, just with Bracer. Like, this hero's so tanky. Even if a meta TB is hitting into you, like, look at it. Look at the damage. It's so hard.
Wow.
If he doesn't have stick there, he dies for sure.
And he sniped the
Still
courier,
loses the courier, yeah.
Not a fun life for Envy right now, but I mean, they had to know this was coming, right? They see these heroes getting picked up, so just gonna have to do their best. But now Husky's the one getting jumped in on. Monster, well, again, the mana problems. If he has enough mana for that secondary hit, I think that's another option, or opportunity rather, for them to go in for that kill. But the level of aggression they're putting together right now is just so rough for Four Zoomers to deal with. You take a look at Envy's farm, he's in the double digits, so it's not like he's getting shut out entirely, but you do not want your TB to be on the lower end among the cores at any point in the game.
Yeah, and you look at the dive too. As soon as that happens and he commits the meta, they switch targets to the line. They know that it doesn't matter if they actually beat up Monster. He's just going to come back with more HP, more mana, and he's just too much for him to deal with. And Envy did do a good job pulling it behind the tower. They're just keeping it even, but that's where Monster is doing the exact same thing. So it's just going to be even harder, because as soon as Monster has that level surplus as well, it is impossible for the TB to walk up to this lane. It's where Envy might have to look for other options pretty soon here.
He was taking a little bit of damage down bot, though, but his support rotated mid to try and make a move onto Mr. Jeans, and, well, not going to be able to get it. Yodomi TP's in, and Gunner not really in a position to dive the tower at this point, but they're able to get a decent bit of damage in onto Mr. Jeans, so, I mean, the rotation's not bad, they just don't get it.
Yeah, they force rotation with the TP, so it kind of balances out. But Mr. Jeans is already kind of crushing this lane, honestly.
Yeah.
So the fact that like they're forcing those and then they didn't even get the kill on him, which was due to a really perfectly timed electric vortex. He like counter pulled the scatter blast on the snapfire and stopped the slow, so he was able to get up the hill and like get under his tower, and that's what prevented them from actually getting the kill. Mr. Jeans is just demolishing Gunner, honestly, in this lane right now. And once he gets level 6, he's like unkillable besides the grip, which at the going rate for Bane is not looking hot, right? We've been kind of watching him have a rough lane. That's why he started pulling, because I think Husky realized, like, I need to get my ult. I don't care, Envy. You'll catch up. You'll get your farm. I need to get some levels, or this game is going to be really hard.
Yeah, and you even see, like, even though he's able to pull it back, and I'm sure Envy's going to get the wave under tower, you're going to have a level 4.5 Dawnbreaker who is constantly going to be running at you. Like, this lane doesn't get any easier, and Envy's gone for the Falcon Blade build-up as well, which is interesting to go for, because again, it does accelerate you a little bit more, but now you don't have your treads that much sooner. You aren't able to put your illusions out onto the map that little bit faster, so it's I think a calculated risk, but something that I think some carry players are really reasonably ignoring a lot of times.
Yeah, Mr. Jeans has this farm build too, so he's just going to continue to snowball. And I mean, I guess Yuma Moo is kind of the thing that we haven't really checked out yet, but they're both doing pretty well. Yuma's got this, 20 charge magic wand, so it's created for this specific position now because, once he gets 6, he's just not going to die in this lane. He's going to sit down here, he's going to have phase boots, he'll kind of trade with Moo and harass him. It'll be pretty easy for, a Lion or a Storm or even a Pango maybe to gank Moo, but I don't think there's any hero except for, Grip once again that can actually kill Yuma while he's camped out bottom.
Yeah, and that's where you look at Gunner too. He's gone for the farm build on the Ember Spirit just to try to keep up, and that's where I think a lot of those aggressive plays aren't really gonna happen on the Zoomer side because, like we keep saying, it's all about Husky. If Husky can get a grip off, then they have enough damage for a lot of these kills. But look at Mr. Jeans. He's just farming up the ancient, or not the ancient stacks, but just the stacks that Huskies have been trying to get going for his team, but just unable to do anything.
I was kind of surprised he didn't turn around and take the kill on the Hellbear Smasher. I thought he was really feeling himself.
Yeah.
That was really heads-up play by him, though, to make like that abandon, because if he would have gone down and tried to run back normally, which most people would in that situation, he would have run right into Gunner. I think he did catch a glimpse of him moving over at the ward, though, so.
On Nightmare top. Okay, the Sunder.
All right, aggressive Sunder, and Monster, he will be taken down. That's first blood.
Wow, that's a really late first blood.
7 minutes in. Kind of forgot we hadn't gotten a kill until just then, but okay. That does now mean that the TB took the Sunder at 6, which we don't really see all too often, but if it gets him the kill there, I guess, why not? You're not going to need it in 100 seconds unless something terrible happens. So, we're able to find that, but now look at this. Yodomi, he just scouted out another sort of series of stacked camps here, so if D2 Hustlers can just continue to sort of take this away, then Zoomers are going to be losing out a lot in terms of those resources, as Monster jumped bot with the Solar Guardian, but not quite able to close the gap in time. Moo falls back, and now here comes Mr. Jeans looking for the fight in the east side jungle. He'll pull Z-Freak in. He needs a little bit more damage, and the final right click will be there. Now he zips back into the river, and Gunner says, "You can go. I want the stack."
Yeah, he's going to get it too.
He also didn't know if he was like jumping down to a rune, because if he gets a big rune there and turns around, that would actually have been huge if, they got like an 8-minute regen rune on bottom or something and run up and contest that. That's where runes can really change the game.
Speaking of runes, Devi has the invis right now, and, well, he's trying to sort of set up here. Moo might walk into this one. He is pretty tanky on the Earthshaker, though, so it's not going to be easy for them to find the pickoff, but they are going for it. But yeah, they can't break through in time, and now Devi's got to be careful. Moo's going to get the cookie to push forward for the stun. And Devi, okay, Fairy Fire doesn't help against that. That's going to be the Echo out from Moo, and they do secure the kill. Yuma's able to just walk away, but that is a pretty solid turnaround. That illusion, or excuse me, Invis rune doesn't really help with the damage front.
Yeah, they need the finger on Lion to get kills too, though. Lysler is lacking in damage at this stage of the game, so that was kind of ambitious, especially with the raindrops. Like, that's kind of where you got to know your, especially if you have the invis, check out the inventory before you go for it. Like, do some quick maths and be like, yeah, I don't know if we got this one. But still, honestly, not the end of the world, because they do force the Echo, which probably wasn't necessary. And, like, now Yuma is literally just not afraid. Like, until that comes back up, you can do whatever the heck you want.
They're going to jump Gunner mid. They didn't get the Vortex off, though, so the cookie from Z-Freak was able to sort of push Gunner to safety, and he is going to be able to fall back and clean up the wave. So surviving that one, but the D2 Hustlers supports are starting to kind of move a little bit more proactively here, but that means, yeah, they do leave their cores alone. His Monster's all alone up top behind the tower, and I do not think he's getting out of that one. 4 heroes up there to finish him off, but they will get the kill.
And that's just one of the strengths of Bane, with he actually has Nightmare, almost maxed out, and it's just being able to set somebody up for all these TP rotations, but they did use a bit for it.
Mr. Jeans wants to kill into Z-Freak, does get it. Gunner jumped in, and oh, now Mr. Jeans, he has no mana here, so they've got to try to get him away, but there's the Nightmare trying to lock him down. It's quickly removed by Devi, and that is going to get the Storm enough time to zip out. He's got a regen rune, so now if you're Zoomers, you may have gone too far. There's going to be Monster jumping in with the Solar Guardian. They will zip back in with Mr. Jeans as well. Husky falls, and now Gunner is going to get taken down as well. Yuma was actually infested into his teammate there as well, so they're in this fight in its entirety, and Moo's just got to run.
Gonna tumble out. That might have saved. I don't know it did for sure. Mr. Jeans baited that very perfectly though. It was definitely a little ambitious and a little dangerous, but he played it right and came back with the regen rune with the life stealer, and they just immediately crushed that fight. And he also finished his orchid off the back of that, which is like an insanely powerful item on the map right now because he can kill anyone on the map with it.
Yeah, it's so fast, and that's also where I think Gunnar understood how hard he was getting really outpaced in this lane because he's preemptively going for the Yules, but now you're preemptively going for the Yules on Ember's Spirit. Like, that is a really bad situation to be in. It feels like now there's not going to be a lot of that damage. There's no orb, there's no really big components coming out, and no Maelstrom for a really long time. I don't know if his spells are going to be enough either to really be this difference maker. I feel like D2 Hustlers are just going to get too tanky too quick, and their aggressive tools are way nicer.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, he's on pace right now to get it like maybe a little bit faster because they're shutting his farm down so much, but not much faster than like the blink on the Lion. If the Lion has a good killer or two here, which they could actually get right now. And if they start to get this momentum, oh man, this fight could be a disaster.
Rotating it down. Yudomi's going to go for the Rolling Thunder to start, and they want directly in onto Envy. Silencing him up, Finger of Death used, and Envy, well, the cookie gets him away initially, but yeah, the burn's still going to finish him off. So Envy will fall. They're going to turn their attention now onto Moo, and I mean, he's got the ult, but he's losing health so fast. Nice grip, though. Yep, they lock down Mr. Jeans. They need a little bit more damage, and they do have it. So Husky is able to get in there to save the day, and now the Nightmare onto Yudomi is potentially going to set them up for it to get the cookie stun in there as well. The Echo even committed, and that is still a little bit rough considering they lose the TB, but the 2 kills they get going for themselves, especially with both of them going to Moo, is really probably the best case scenario they could have hoped for there.
Yeah, not too bad, all things considered. I mean, they're going to end up probably trading these towers, but I think that... Actually, no, they're going to infest and fight it with Monster. That's why he's kind of hanging out. His ult was on cooldown during that, so he didn't come in there, because obviously if Dawnbreaker had ult up there, it would have been pretty bad for Zoomers, but... they fight around that, which was good, and Monster didn't TP down there, which I think honestly he probably should have. But I think he was just waiting for his ult, and like he just finished his item, so kind of a bit of a miscommunication. And I think they thought it would just be a cleaner kill. They could have actually disconnected too, right? Like they could have just been happy with the TV kill, been like, okay, and then backed off. We don't have our Dawnbreaker, but that's the type of stuff that gets lost in the mix. Devi kind of hanging out, trying to soak up some experience, just dies because, well, actually they're coming down to contest now, make them burn their spells.
They're spreading themselves out thin. There's a big fight mid now, too.
Solar Guardian is going to get Monster in, and yeah, they completely shift their priorities. They want to track Gunnar down, but can they actually catch up? Well, yes, they can. Monster's going to push his way forward, but they don't get the last bit of damage. However...
Genau.
That was close, but Gunnar's able to dodge it, and it was... honestly, a very sort of complicated plan for D2 Hustlers, and it almost worked out. They were just sort of baiting 4 Zoomers in, trying to pull them mid before they went for that Solar Guardian play to just shift everything bot, and I mean, it's neat, it kind of works, they just don't actually end up getting the kill. Mr. Jeans, yeah, not gonna be able to grab that one. Moo right on top of it, but now Yuma, I mean, he's pushing forward like he wants to continue putting damage onto the tower, but it's still not really a safe maneuver for them to make. For Zoomers very much invested in not letting that tower go for free.
Next 60 seconds are going to be a little bit scary for D2 Hustlers as well. They don't have Solar Guardian again, and it's been proven already that it's such a key part of their fight. I also feel like that's where Mr. Jeans does need to keep running at their opponents. They have Finger as well, so that they have the guaranteed kill if they can actually get that connect with the Vortex, but that's where they really need to be a little bit more careful with their targets. They're playing a little bit too heavily into Moo, I think, and he is always going to be there with the Fisher Punish. He is going to be the hero to really be the one finding these rebuttal kills, and he's going to have a really fast Ags. He has really been untouched. He has been keeping pace with every core in this game. Oh, and Gunnar miss. Look, he dodges it out. There's another smoke wasted.
Now the reinforcers are coming. The Bean's grip onto Yudomi. And that's going to be a pretty easy one. There's going to be the kisses coming in as well, and Devi, okay, he's out of range. He should be fine, but, well, a nice pick off there. That sort of saps away momentum from that mid push once again. You do have to use a couple of ults from your supports to get that one, but it is going to sort of shatter a little bit of that momentum. D2 Hustlers now can't really go for that tier 1 unless they want to bring everybody over, and considering where Mr. Jeans is right now, I don't think they want to do that.
And that's the
Yeah,
second grip with what, Solar Guardian 5 to 10 seconds before being available. Like
yeah.
Husky's been timing it really well.
I do think that also that Hustlers don't feel too bad about that though, because they just lost like their support. He didn't even use his spell, and they're still farming the whole map. You know, they've got Mr. Jeans camped out top, Yuma's mid, Monster's kind of farming on bottom. Like Yadomi's been doing a great job at like efficiently farming the map while still having an impact, which is, you know, something you more often see in the 4, and it seems like that Yodomi kind of takes on that responsibility a lot of times when playing with Devi, when Devi's playing this line. Like, he's not, you know, really farming his blink at all, but he's been doing a lot of the map control and like staying off map, and Yodomi just farms jungle camps and kind of moves around and puts pressure. So good synergy there between the supports. A lot of times that's something that just kind of comes naturally to do to people's playstyle, but if you can like actually create that, it's really good. Another missed jump mid though, unfortunately.
They just keep on trying onto Gunner, and so far, he's been able to sort of just sidestep that aggression just about every single time. So the defense, or defense-ish, I guess, of this mid-tier 1 continues. It's not really turning into any sort of fight, but 4 Zoomers are just trying to buy time, and the more resources D2 Hustlers commit, the more opportunities they have for counterplays like this. That's the full smoke play with the Aghanim Scepter finished, as you said, so if they can get the wraparound, this would be huge, especially if they could hit up someone like Mr. Jeans first. It's Divine Llama who's going to take the hit. They do bring him down, but, well, not really sure they can get much more. Quick infest into Mr. Jeans there from that Lifestealer, and he zips out. So that's a nice kill. It would be better if they could get this tower, though. I think they'd need Envy to actually shift in to do the damage. And yeah, okay.
I think he wanted to hold it. He's like, guys, let's get the tower. But then he's like, I don't want to use my meta. It's like, man, you gotta.
Yeah, just use it.
Because there is the threat, right? Like they held the Lifestealer bomb with the Storm, with the Solar Guardian until he committed. But there was a chance that if they got way to position there and he was hitting in melee form, they might just jump on E and insta kill him.
Yeah, you gotta be really careful. And I think maybe that's where he's hesitant because the line is already taken off the map. So he's like, guys, I don't really want to do it, but it's free. It's something you can take. That's something that 4 Zoomers do a lot easier than their opponents. Taking these objectives is much simpler, where we're still waiting for Yuma to get a few more items before he really feels like he can siege up. It's just the awkward situation where either carry doesn't really want to beat into those towers. I think the wave clear is a little bit too scary for both sides, even though I think with how whittled down these Tier 1 towers are, it should just be claimed, but there might be a big fight here.
They pop the glyph first, so they're trying to hold off for as long as they can. You see Moo TPing in.
Monster's so low.
Yeah, they're going to go for it to get the stun down. Secondary stuns out. Monster will be taken down, but now there's Mr. Jeans jumping in. Now that he knows Moo doesn't have any firepower left, they're going to look for that quick kill, but they actually haven't gotten it. Envy even sunders up his teammate to keep him alive, and now the Fiend's Grip is on to Yuma, but Mr. Jeans is able to zip forward. Husky will be taken down. Now they know Envy doesn't have the sunder. They're going to try to track him down, but Mr. Jeans is going to have to do it alone, and he's starting to run out of mana, so he's going to start backing off. Yuma is left in the middle of the fight, though, as Mr. Jeans will rejoin. Gunner, however, was able to pop that shield, so he is absorbing some of that damage. And if your Hustlers now... This may be getting a little bit too complicated. It might be time for them to back out.
Yeah, Yuma was just barely getting kited around that whole fight, and it's just really awkward. Oh, they actually have Solar Guardian and trying to re-initiate back in. They have this vision on Z-Freak as well, so...
Okay.
That might have been a little jump in the gun there, because I think that he might have thought he was under vision, just how he was running away from him, but still a little too fast to jump. But yeah, I mean, that fight was pretty much a wash, I think. It went okay for both teams. All right, we're right back in.
Another attempt on the Gunner. This time they've got that Solar Guardian and the Infest Bomb, and that's a lot of damage, but Gunner's still jumping away. Mr. Jeans doesn't want to let him go, but instead, he'll stop for the easier kill into Z-Freak, and that was probably smarter on his part, just in terms of keeping himself alive. They'll continue to push onto Husky for a secondary kill, and yeah, as nice as it would have been, you don't want to get too greedy. Speaking of greedy, though, Devi and Yuma were kind of a little bit further forward. Devi will be taken down. Yodomi's now rolling in, though, but there's no one else here to take this fight, so Yodomi's just got to try and get out as fast as he can, and Gunner wants to keep on chasing, jumping up onto that high ground, gets the Searing Chains for the root, and Yodomi is now going to get caught by the Yule Scepter. Moo will jump in, and they've got the stun down for the kill.
I appreciate the roll to kind of just save the Lifestealer. I think it was just more of a protection type thing and trying to bail out the Lifestealer like 100%, because they couldn't really chase the Lifestealer up that hill there without knowing like where people were at, and they could have just gotten killed. So they just take the free kill on Pandaego, and that fight was pretty even. I think the Gunner like just barely getting away definitely helped. But yeah, it's going to be interesting once E finishes his next item, because I think that like the meta is going to be really hard to fight on when it's up, but I feel Zoomer's lineup really struggles to fight when it's down. Like when it is down, they're going to have a really weak fight, but when TV's in meta, it's going to be hard for Hustlers to do much of anything.
They're definitely playing around Moo's timing right now to actually make these fights happen, and I think they're still doing a good job. Moo's been really disruptive. He's even forcing a lot of Yodomi's rolls to not be as clean, just because he's making them you really use the shield crash to traverse around that Fissure. I think, especially when that tier 1 went down originally, it was so split up by the Fissures that Moo was able to get. It's really awkward because, again, there's not very much getting traded out, but it also feels like the more time that Envy is actually able to farm up on this tier TB, it does feel like eventually something's got to give, right? Maybe it's the BKB or maybe it's going to be the Scotty after, but there's got to be some item where this TB is suddenly just going to start washing you, right?
I think it kind of depends on the pacing of the Lifestealer, and that is what's helping, right? Like he's actually getting big, and if he can get huge, like 6-slotted huge, that hero can be a pretty big threat against all of their cores. Just because, like, the Ember wants to keep you at range, and you can't really do that, or Shaker can't really fight you, especially if you get like a Basher or something along those lines. And then obviously TV, like if he can keep you at range, he can fight you, but if you get on him, it's going to be pretty hard. So, and they do have decent heroes. Like, if at that point we're talking about like 50 minutes theoretically, like Storm has an Ags and he's like pulling him in and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's when he can just die before he can get anything off.
I mean, Hustler's lineup, yeah, is built in that fashion. You've got the Infest Bomb, the Storm Zip. You can jump in with the Solar Guardian. Yodomi's even going to be able to roll forward, so we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. That is still quite a ways away if the game goes on that long, but the T2 Hustlers at least theoretically might have the tools they would need to still keep that pressure onto the Terrorblade. But if you're 4 Zoomers, you're kind of hoping that's not the case. You're hoping that Envy here can really just start powering you forward into a larger lead and into maybe more definitive control of the map as well. They've been able to take a couple of towers, but you still see them largely kind of operating on their own side at this point.
It looks like they might want to smoke. They got the blink coming out on Lion.
Arcane too on Mr.
Yeah, something is happening.
They want to make these plays, but you even see Monster. He's gone for, again, another big switch up in his build. Usually he goes for the Echo Saber treads and then tries to be that secondary source of damage, but he's definitely given away a lot of that power to try and be as tanky as possible. And he's kind of showing in the mid lane on purpose here, because I think they are going to go for that jump bottom if they're able to find it, but it still feels like everyone is hesitant to get into that huge engagement.
Zoomers really knows this is coming. They saw the couriers and the word, so they're ready for it. Devi just jumps on the first thing he sees.
Oh, they did get the Infest Bomb down. That'll get them the kill onto Husky. Now they want Moo as well. They need more damage, but Yuma, he's not able to get it down before the Echo comes out, but that's just not enough. They will still find it. Moo finished off. Gunner, though, is trying to jump away. Mr. Jeans gets the silence, but at this point, his teammates need to catch up to really keep this fight going. The Vortex, though, will help, but now the Mortimer Kisses are coming in. I don't really think that matters, though. Z-Freak, you're doing your best, but Gunner still falls, and now Z-Freak himself is in the line of fire, trying to get all the way back to the base. He'll use the Yule Scepter to throw Yuma up in the air, and he will be able to make it home, but that's 3 heroes lost on the 4-Zoomer side.
Yep, bailed out by the Yules there for sure. I think this is kind of what we were talking about at the beginning during the draft, is like Terrorblade is getting some space to farm, that's great, but these fights are going to get harder and harder just due to the lack of damage really in the other cores. Earthshaker is definitely strong, but this is like an awkward time in his kind of build, right, where he really needs this BKB, and if he like snowballs to it, he becomes just a total menace, but if he doesn't, like Hex, Silence, Pull, like, even the Solar Guardian stun, lots of things can really ruin his life. I mean, especially the roll from Pangolier. So yeah, I think that, he's also moving towards that blink on Pango, and once this Pango has blink and Lion has blink, a lot of Zoomer's heroes really struggle to have an impact because they're going to be so afraid of getting like rolled and blinked on or hexed and just blown up. They've invested, in 2 Yules, and that item is strong, but it feels kind of awkward this game. I don't really know, like they're trying to protect themselves from the Orchid, but maybe a little too much almost, and it's like, they're not going to be able to scale off of that.
Yeah, Moo got unlucky too. No Fey Grenade, which we see like almost every single time Earthshaker gets it, and that just gives you that much more damage, and without it, it does feel like he just isn't able to play his hero. And in addition to that, that was just nightmare situation, right? You get forced to Echo Slam, a Pangolier rolling on you, and a Lifestealer with Rage on. It just, the natural spell immunity is definitely playing up their strengths. This is another big fight.
Yeah,
Ooh.
they will pop on each other there, so we'll see who really makes the first move here. But it's Mr. Jeans who's going to zip in. They get the silence down onto Moo, but that Yule Scepter is going to break it up initially, but now Yuma jumps out with that Infest, and there's going to be the Solar Guardian. Moo got away, and Yuma's got a TP. Yeah, he is stuck on the high ground, but the fight will continue. Moo gets run down, but Envy's able to pop that meta, and he's going to start dishing out the damage to get the Fiend's Grip onto Monster as well. And they will turn that into a trade-off of those offlaners, and honestly, if Yuma is not trapped on that high ground, I think they can continue that fight, but once he's up on that cliff, it really just kind of falls apart. They get the one kill, and they back away.
Yeah, it was an interesting one. You know, he was sitting in Storm just like, are you going to get down so I can come out and, like, participate? Because, like, even if you get on Moo there, right, he can just jump off. So if it was like a, you know, a hero that was actually stuck up there that was an easy kill that had like a blink and just couldn't move, it might be worth it to jump out and then TP and run back. But it was just such a dangerous play, and he was really hoping to get down. And that's why they were so ready to bail, because, like, as soon as Yuma got stuck up there, he's just like, I'm out of the fight, guys. I'm going to go hit creeps. Like, please don't feed.
Yeah. But that's also where you did get meta, and they identify that now you're probably not going to see Envy want to show up to these fights, and the Roche is really easy.
Yeah.
Yuma's just going to hack away at it, really, because he can afford to. Yudomi's going to come in to help, but this is a situation where for Zoomers, they've got the manpower, but as you were saying, there's no Fiend Script, there's no meta, so you're pushing into a fight without really any of your primary resources, so they're just going to have to let it go. It's not the fastest Roche attempt in the world, but they will get through it eventually, and Mr. Jeans is going to grab the Aegis. Now they go for the Infest Bomb, and they know exactly where their enemies are. They push forward, they're going to jump out, they're looking for that Bane first, and they do finish him off. And now they want more. Moo's still silenced up, trying to get away there with that leap, and for now he's making it out. That's a big fissure coming out, connecting onto 3, but now Yudomi is rolling through. His teammates don't want to do this, however, so...
Oh, Yudomi's dead.
That's a tower shot. That's going to kill him. Oops.
He just got cleaved by the tower. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the aggression, but definitely a little bit carried away there, I think. It was a really good play, though, to go on them with that ward vision and just get in and get the kill, but a little overextended. But they have the, you know, Aegis. They want to play aggressive with that, and just losing the Pango isn't the end of the world, but probably and definitely an unnecessary death.
Get Glyph as well, so you can actually push your opponents to play here. And
they jump in, they get the Hex. There's a Solar Guardian. Z-Freak is, for now, saved by another big fissure from Moo, and Gunnar wants in. Going to take the fight. They take down Divine Llama. He's going to push his way forward. Has the Ags now for those upgraded Remnants, so they want to keep going, but here comes Mr. Jeans, zipping on the backline. Moo, however, jumps onto him with the stun. Husky still dropped low, still will fall, but Four Zoomers are going to turn this into a pretty solid trade as Monster gets picked off.
Yeah, it was honestly pretty good for Zoomers, but really good presence of mind there for Monster to still, like, focus on the Bane and help his Storm, because if he doesn't, there's a good chance that they both die there. So to, like, go in, commit, and die, and then allow Mr. Jeans to get away, and then Mr. Jeans makes the correct play and just, like, goes and shoves mid lane, and it's like, yeah, Zoomers got some kills, but now they're all just huddled together in the jungle, and you've got your Storm and your Lifestealer just farming, like, the whole rest of the map. Well, you know, you've got Yudomi picking up runes and stuff, so really good post-fight map control from T2 Hustlers that might result in the death. Actually, he's got the shard.
Yeah, he's out.
And then he picks up spider legs along the way. All right, that's a big item. Yuma's like, what are you doing? Why is this on the ground here?
Okay. There you go.
Yeah, so, I mean, you know, a couple of maybe unnecessary deaths for Yudomi, but you can make up for it with plays like that one as he's able to get away, and that is something worth noting. We sort of talked about it in the last game as well. Yudomi is so often being given that little bit of extra farming priority. So you saw him take the stacked camp, the Blink's already picked up, he's got the shard, and he is going to be unbelievably important. With the initiation, with the Rolling Thunder, his ability to sort of get in there and be disruptive is one of their best plans, to just sort of break up Four Zoomers anytime they try to group up.
They do want to use this Aegis, so I think the D2 Hustlers is going to be looking to try and use the tail end of the timer.
Ags as well on Mr. Jeans.
Oh yeah, that's huge. Because they have so much follow-up. Like, they have Lion and Pale, they have Roll Blink from, you know, I guess Dawnbreaker even, right? I haven't played
Yeah.
with or against the hero a ton, but you've got Soul Guardian and your Celestial Hammer, so really terrifying team fight off the back of those Axe pulls, and like Zoomers doesn't have a great way to avoid them either, because their heroes are kind of immobile, except for, I mean, Earthshaker obviously is pretty good, and Ember, but the other ones are going to get pulled. And Earthshaker's still working on that BKB, and like, that's the issue, is this hero can't really farm that effectively while applying a lot of pressure, so he's just been kind of stuck with his team, and it's pretty rough now, because, you know, E is getting fat, but everyone else is kind of slowly starting to fall behind, and I think the Earthshaker might start to lose some impact if he can't find better farm.
Yeah, it's one of those games where you want both as well. You kind of need the blink and the eggs, and Devi is going to get picked up, but oh, that's such a good roll.
The Fiend's Grip, though, locks it down, and, well, you sacrifice your supports to get the tower up top. They were able to clear out that tier 2, so... yeah.
Should theoretically be a trade. They're actually just pushing them out, which is interesting. Instead of like, oh, I guess E is staying down there. They're just smoking and pushing them out. But
they're looking for Mr. Jeans.
This is good. They see him. Nope.
Okay.
Too
so
fast.
Will just get a... oh god, Gunner, all right. He wants in. Yeah. For about, what, 45 more seconds, but that's a big stun. That Echo is maybe not quite as great, but it is still going to travel along, so they do burn through the Aegis. Monster is now dropping low, trying to get away, and the Infest is going to sort of heal him up a little bit here while Mr. Jean zipped out after respawning.
That ends up being really good. Yeah, for Tusslers, really bad for Zoomers, because they use the meta for basically nothing, right? It's the Aegis that was gone in 18 seconds or whatever when he died, so not the greatest, but they did still push them back. But now I think that it opens up a really great opportunity for Hustlers to make a big smoke play here, which they're already assembling to do. Yep, this is whoever de-warded this, you're really smart, because you'd expect that they would place a ward there, and like if you're going to make this kind of smoke play, you have to put some uncertainty in the other team. And they don't know now for sure if they're smoked. I think they know, like, you know, like kind of, but you don't have like 100% certainty, versus if it's on the ward, then you can like have your whole team stand on hill, which is why they're like kind of half backing, right? But while also pushing the lanes out. They're just trying to keep some pressure on the map for Zoomers without like completely abandoning things. But it's scary because you don't want to be like parked out unless you have 5 heroes when you know the smoke's coming.
Yeah, and even if they don't find any pick with the smoke, you already set up one of your lanes, so you get this easy push mid, and it also glyph kills the bottom creep wave. So even though you're going for a trade, you're still really ahead of the exchange on the Hustler side.
Yeah, and this mid tower feels pretty nice to get rid of, because it allows them to be a little more aggressive with their hunting later, versus like losing this tier 2 bot. I mean, it's their first tier 2, so it's nice because Zoomers now get that shrine control, but like, it's not the end of the world. Like, that part of the map is already very hard for you to contest unless you're bringing your whole team, and if anything, it might open you up to opportunities of finding E later, because he might get more aggressive with his farm down there. So if you can sneak a ward in and find the TB, you know, you kill TB twice this game, it's like over.
Well, do you still see Envy, I mean, trying to push out that bottom lane, as you said, but he's not going to commit for it himself at the moment. As for Zoomers, well, they're kind of grouping up here, and they are starting to get those spells back online. The meta's about 35 seconds away. Moo is just about to get Echo Slam running again, so actually, taking this without the meta is maybe a little bit dangerous, but we'll see what they can do.
25.
Yeah. And then
they're just looking for one
not
quick
that
pick.
close.
Although this guy's got an A on this now. He actually legitimately might survive. Oh
and
my
he's
lord,
gone.
what a hero. I mean, he's got like the ungankable combo now, right? This Philosopher's Stone is actually the secret MVP of this game, because he's gotten several, like he's survived at least twice I can think of, because of like items that he probably picked up only because he has a Philosopher's Stone. So definitely still a value item.
It's just too far.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Divide.
Found the ward. By the way, guys, warded.
Yep.
Well,
unfortunately, it loses a sentry.
Yeah.
But I mean, they know. The D2 Hustlers know that this is their territory. You see, Yuma, you just circled everything. And I think that's where the big problem for Zoomers right now is they weren't able to really get a lot of that control back on the Roche side. And we'll probably see them swap up pretty soon here, depending on how early that Roche actually ends up spawning. I think that's where the map is really going to start breaking down for both of these sides.
Yeah, I mean, Zoomers are starting to look quite a bit stronger for the next engagement, though. They do have BKB on their Shaker now. They have Blink up on Seafreak, so he can kind of survive these dives and kite people, which is something he's very good at. And then E is still just, you know, he's getting pretty strong. He's going to shred people. Okay, he's actually, so he was going for MKB, and now he just switched up to Scotty. I think that's probably correct. He just needs to get 6 slotted and try to solo this game, but Yuma's keeping pace pretty well. I mean, he just finished his AC, so he's very strong right now. And it looks like they're actually looking to also take a return fight.
Yeah, Z-Freak.
Yudomi's gonna roll. Z-Freak gets into the
dear.
river. Yudomi continues to chase, though, and now the Solar Guardian is gonna be coming through. Meanwhile, Mr. Jean's in the backline. They go straight in for Husky again. They will blow him up, and actually, Z-Freak is not dead yet. He is blinking his way out of this. Yudomi is the one who's gonna get stunned up, but there's that combo once again. He's just gonna be able to bail himself out, and Hustlers are, at this point, kind of trying to reset, but Moo won't let him go. He's gonna be able to get another stun onto Yudomi. Gunner jumps in with the Remnant, and they will bring him down, but now... Oh, Monster. He couldn't get it. Tried to find that pickoff, but now he has to fall back to the base, and I'm not sure he's going to make it. Yudomi's now buying back to rejoin this fight, and that may be the call for 4Zoomers to sort of call it quits. The meta is running out of time, and they need to back off. Oh,
but
wow,
Mr. G says no.
Zips all the way in, gets the silence onto Gunner, but there's that Yule's going to come in defensively. That should buy Gunner enough time to try and get away. Yeah, and he will be just fine. So the Yules, I mentioned earlier, it still doesn't feel massively sort of fantastic to have to get it when he did, but it comes in handy there when Mr. Jeans tries to make the push.
Yeah, that's where they really need their Lion to help finish up the catches that Storm gets, because they do have the Yules to clear out other kind of routes and such. But, you know, he just respawns, so unfortunate. Oh.
Yudomi's away. Roche is respawning pretty much now.
Yeah, now this
they want in. Gunner. Nightmare is going to try to save him. Will it be enough? The Yules comes out again. The Echo Slam even being used, and Gunner does manage to slip away. But Yudomi is actually still chasing him. He needs maybe one or two hits, but the Fiend's Grip, yep, locks him down instead. Husky gets the kill, and Yudomi, I mean, normally you wouldn't really care too much about that, but he had bought back in the last fight, so he's out for quite a while now. And 4Zoomers know he's not coming back in, and well, Roche's respawned, so now that focus is going to sort of shift to the pit, and D2 Hustlers are down a man.
Yudomi getting a little aggressive there with the Aeon, without his Aeon disc, and I think that that's kind of just what he needs to do, though. But without having Storm, like, having HP and mana to chase, he does need somebody to go into him, because he doesn't have the damage to actually kill anyone. He's just trying to break things up. And good fight by Zoomers to play around some vision and just really control that fight. It's a really hard hill to fight on there, and it's really important you control that vision if you're going to fight there. Otherwise, you pretty quickly can get taken out.
Good news for D2 Hustlers, though, is that they've effectively kind of reset the board a little bit here. We didn't see 4Zoomers immediately push into that Roche pit, so that is going to knock off a hell of a lot of time from that respawn for the Pangolier. And they just infested into Mr. Jeans, so they're looking to go. They jumped in onto Envy. If they could blow him up, this would be massive. And they've got him. Envy can't get away. He even... Oh, no.
And BKB'd.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
This is the fresh BKB and the tips. That's the psychological warfare. You gotta appreciate that. You know that one's having a bit of an impact. The BKB tips it over the edge.
Yeah, and of course, no matter where he went, they were going to be playing underneath Hustler's vision, because really, Yudomi's done such an insane job of getting these wards down. I don't know how he's even had time for a lot of these wards, but it's just crazy that Envy kind of gives him that play, especially with all their vision fading in bottom, so he's kind of farming his triangle blinds, and Mr. Jeans has enough mana at this point.
They're going for Gunner now as well. Can they actually save him? Last time they were able to pull him out. This time, not so lucky. Gunner will be taken down. Z-Freak now in trouble as well. His Yule Scepter will buy time, but it's only going to delay the death. It can't stop it. And now, I mean, yeah, free Roche. And without Envy, I don't really know. Normally, standing in this location wouldn't be too bad, but as you were just talking about, ET, these wards, they knew they were there the entire time, and Yudomi makes the wraparound with the Rolling Thunder, and it's just an absolute slaughter.
What a crazy ward. He's like halfway up the ramp, too. So you thought there's like no way they have any sight on him. I don't know. That's just absurd.
Really impressive right there. I mean, I think also just the fact that they knew they could kill the Ember if they properly executed their spells, right? Like, they keep going at him, but they have to stun lock him. The silence no longer does anything. So they finally recognize that, which is important. You learn over the course of the match, too. And, you know, they just stun lock him with the roll and knew that if they caught him with that and, like, had people around. I think Monster finished up with the Solar Guardian stun, and he just died without getting any spells off.
Tier 3 under attack. Losing a lot of health already, and really, there's not much they can do. Envy's here, but I don't really think you're comfortable pushing headlong into that fight, into the Aegis, and with your Ember Spirit down. So the tower won't fall, but it takes a lot of damage for no significant consequences whatsoever on the D2 Hustler side. He's infested into a creep right now. Okay. Wandering
Now,
his way around
they
the
do
lanes.
have like an interesting decision to make. Do you do the line that Yuma drew? You just got Glyph out of hitting the mirrored tier 3 tower. If you go for these bottom towers, of course, you refresh it, you give that play over to 4 zoomers again, but it's also where this is a little bit of an awkward smoke coming from them. I think it only clipped on half of their members, so it's like, I don't really know what the purpose of the smoke actually is for 4 zoomers side. Because I guess D2 Hustlers are just going to transpose bottom, and they will refresh the glyph, but this is more gold and more time. I think this is a lot of the map that 4 zoomers are giving away. They're trying to fill in the spaces right now, but it's like a band-aid. It's not really fixing the problem that they have, where Yuma is just able to siege pretty much for free every single time that rage is up.
Yeah, and Envy, I mean, he's strong, but is he single-handedly sort of win you a fight strong right now? And
They all run back.
with the towers being taken, he's running out of sort of space to farm safely. So Hustlers just keep on pressing in. Tier 3 tower loses about half of its HP before really any response from 4 zoomers. And as you said, he's just going to pop the rage, run in, do the damage, back off. Oh, Yudomi, yeah. What? He's going in, looking for the Rolling Thunder. He does get hit up initially, but there's going to be that Solar Guardian now coming into play. Husky gets blocked and taken down pretty much right away, but Envy is still fighting. He's doing a pretty decent job of it, but here comes Mr. Jeans coming in. AoE Vortex will be applied. Moo locked down, hasn't gotten off the ult just yet. He's hexed up as well, so he's still not going to be able to deploy it here, and he might just die before he ever gets the chance. He will be finished off, and now if you're Gunner, it might be time to start thinking about backing off. He's able to get one kill there onto the supports, but Hustlers are actually the ones who are maybe starting to run a little bit low on gas. They are backing themselves away, but now Yuma turns around. Just trying to make use of that Aegis at this point, as they will take him down once, and his teammates are dealing with Gunner on the back line. They need damage, and they've got it. Mr. Jean's got one last hit in, so Gunner will be taken down. Buys back immediately, though, but while that was happening, Yuma, he pops the rage and he TPs out.
I mean, that was kind of an interesting buyback, because obviously hard to tell when you die in the fight like that, but as a third party staring at the fight, like, it was pretty obvious he was going to immediately rage DP when he came out of the Aegis. Like, there was nothing left for him to do. Envy's meta was running out, but he's still really strong, and like with Bane and Snap there, they can kite him out and kill him with stuns. So I think that was kind of just a ambitious buy, which is bad, because like he can die and get picked off, you know, by like Bat, Lion, or Storm, and it's just like that does put them in a lot of danger, because if he gets picked, a lot of their team fight goes out the door, because he's not doing the most damage. But he is doing a lot, but he's also just creating a lot of space in the fights and being really obnoxious for like the Lion and to a lesser extent Dawnbreaker.
Yeah, and
that's what. Do you go back for BKB on Ember? He's going for the refresher, but it just feels like if he is gonna get kited, because the problem there is that they all have to focus on killing Yuma, and they split off, and Gunner gets kind of orchided without any save. And
jump in. Husky dead already. Gunner locked down, stunned up, silence fingered, and
they did it again.
He's gone with no buyback.
They chained him.
Yeah, and now he's got that no buy, and I mean, Yuma's tanky enough that he has the leveler too. I mean, he's gonna shred these towers. They're all at like 20%, and this is a no fort too, so. Actually, I guess it just came back up, so never mind. But either way, he's probably going to get at least 2 racks out of this, because E just can't do anything at this meta, and him standing here staring at them would be nice, but he's like rather just shove the lanes and get some pressure off the map. But honestly, he probably does need to come back and start sending his illusions out to just harass them, but they'll also just get drained, so it's a pretty rough situation, right? There's just no real positive thing going on.
Yeah, I don't know. It's also, whenever they pushed in bottom previously, you didn't have the buyback on Moon. I think him not getting a BKB off there and then buying out for the Aether lines, they're just running out of plays. Now they have to make this 3v5 happen, and okay.
All right,
Yuma
gets blown
up. There we go.
They take him down right away, and all of a sudden, D2 Hustlers need to just get the hell out of there. Yudomi's going to TP out, and everyone else should be making it away on foot. So, well, if there was ever one kill that could just sort of stop that push in its tracks, that's it right there. And 4 zoomers have bought themselves some time, but I mean, they lost so much of their base before they ever made that kill happen. It's just still going to be rough for them.
Yeah, that was amazing, right? Like, that should probably not happen. I think that Hustlers just need to be a little more aggressive, because they knew that Ember had no buyback, so they should be in the base, like pushing them off the racks. It's not like standing behind their lifestealer. Like Dawnbreaker should be playing up in front of the life store there.
Just someone to break the smoke.
Yeah, because you
someone
know
with
there's
that
only
vision.
way you're losing is like if you get blown up, and you've got to at least expect, they're probably not just going to go out of the tournament just casually. So, I mean,
Yeah.
we know EE loves to fight against mega creeps. Maybe he wants you to kill his racks. I don't know, but like I really doubt it. So you probably are wanting to do something to get that last rack.
Not quite able to make it happen, but yeah, he's got that anime protagonist mindset where he just wants it to be harder for himself. So
He just gets more powerful.
yeah, we'll see if they can do it. I mean, the game maybe would not have been over at that point, but it should have been really in just an absolute lock for D2 Hustlers if they could have all pushed up and taken that final lane of racks. Now all of a sudden, 4Zoomers are operating with a little bit more hope. They're going to have at least one, maybe two more chances at that team fight to try and turn things around because of that play.
Oh man, look at Yadomi's inventory. He's that's gonna be mighty powerful if he completes that item. He's got my MVP for this game for sure. He's been all over the place, total like map like control, getting vision everywhere he needs it. He's been like playing as a living ward and like never dying. I mean, he's been very impressive this game to say the least.
You can finish off that Wind Waker, that would be big, but now they're gonna look for the Infest play.
They should. If they find, they know the position that they're in. If they can do the same thing to Gunner, like the biggest thing is that 4Zoomers actually get to wait for their Ember Spirit to respawn. That was like dire situation, but this is where anything happens. This is where Mr. Jeans having the Ags is so scary. He even goes back for the BKB, so there's no threat of him getting punished after the jump. They just have so many defensive like surplus items now. You even see Monster getting a Lincoln Sphere just to probably put on Yadomi when these fights go down, so you don't have to worry about that grip. The execution just needs to be flawless from 4Zoomers. They need to blow up somebody at the beginning of these fights. Otherwise, again, you're playing into the Lincoln Sphere. You're playing into the Soul Guardian still. Monster doesn't have the Ags queued up or any components just yet, but it only gets more difficult for them going forward, I believe.
I mean, Monster's got the full-fledged like utility support build going on, but he's so tanky still. Like you can't kill him. That's what you want, right? Because his spells like kind of start to fall off at this stage of the game. They're hard to land against these really mobile heroes. Like the double hammer is obviously really strong, and your ult's still really strong. But like once you do that in the fight, you're kind of worthless unless you have like 6 items to press in your inventory.
Keeping himself relevant with these item purchases. There is so much that he can do, even after that sort of initial combo goes down. So if you're 4Zoomers, you've got to be careful. I mean, the last time they found success by just bursting down Yuma, but that was kind of because Yuma was not quite on the same page with his teammates and they were too far away. I highly doubt that they can find that same situation again unless they force it. And
oh, he sees a tasty rune. Moo went for it. They waited a long time for that.
Yeah, they were trying to bait that out for, what, 20 seconds, seeing if anybody went for it, but I don't know, Roche and 35, it's the only thing that matters right now. Who has buybacks, who's actually able to get their Roche. That's one thing that Hustlers have been able to fix over the past few minutes. They've still been buying out a lot of their items, but now everyone is set up for this next huge fight. Whereas Zoomers are definitely playing without a lot of theirs still, just because they need the items still. Like, Moo had to go back for the Aeon Disc just because he knows he needs to get these spells off.
I'm kind of surprised Device is holding buyback as a Lion instead of just getting the Aeon Disc, because I feel like with the Aeon Disc, he'll just get off the stuff he wants to get off anyways. He's also got like the mana drain to like magic immune himself off of it, so I'll see if he decides to change that up, but it looks like he's kind of set in. But we got 4 Zoomers coming for the big wraparound. I think that, yeah, Hustlers have this ward down because I think they understand that that's probably where they've positioned back to, especially since they don't see anyone like right here. Otherwise, like, the only other place it could be is in their triangle, and they know they're not there with where Monster's at.
They gotta be careful.
Envy is out in front. They're going to make the play. They jump in. They're going to go for Z-Freak first, and, well, they haven't finished him off just yet. There we go. They're going to be able to get that kill, but now Envy's trying to push forward, looking for the damage. Gunner's coming in as well, but he's going to get stunned up, and that's really going to break all of this up. Yadomi, meanwhile, just kind of bouncing in the river. They could get Husky here as well, but I don't think they really want to commit that far at this point. They got their one pick off. Z-Freak had to buy back, and they're just going to sort of reset on their own side of the river.
They got meta, though. It's huge. It just means that now Envy has to be so careful with how they engage. I wouldn't be surprised if they back off pretty entirely here. They either need to make another smoke play and find the engagement, or have to give up this Roche. Problem is, then you give Yuma, who is already hitting your racks with Rage and getting free damage, an Aegis. I think that could just break their base. Yeah,
Just
they're
bought a
the
refresher,
Arcaner.
though.
They're trying to bait.
So Envy could refresh that
Divide.
meta, and yeah, okay, they do get Divide there. They will take him down. Divide is one of the heroes who had his buyback, which I say one of the heroes. Everyone has their buyback on that D2 Hustler side. Now they go in, but the Peace Grip's going to be there. They lock down the Storm. Husky fast on the draw. That is why they were going in for him every single time in those previous teamfight wins. And Mr. Jeans, that time just gets a little bit greedy. Thought he'd go straight in for the kill rather than focusing on that Bane. And, well, now the Storm may have to buy back, and there's that refresher being activated. So the TB, he's got the meta up again, which means D2 Hustlers are the ones who are in a bit of an awkward spot. Yunomi, though, does roll just straight in. Monster actually gets his channel canceled, but they're just doing so much damage in that pit. Envy gets taken down. And this is going to go pretty poorly now because Gunner is still disarmed, silenced, Hex, dropped low, finished off, and for Zoomers, they just have to run, but they can't get out. Z-Freak's going to get caught.
That's no buy on Envy because he bought that, like, all those items, and I mean that was just, you're still taking a Roche fight against a Pango with ult, and if you don't BKB, you're just gonna die. Envy actually got knocked out, and then Z-Freak cookied him back into the Roche pit, and I don't know if he would have died if he did not do that because he still had all his stuff up, so he might have been able to get it off and turn the fight there. That was actually like one of the most disastrous plays of the game.
Yeah, and now you don't have him for 55 seconds. You do have Glyph, but they're already paying it. They know the position that they're in, as well as if Mr. Jeans gets that jump, the game just ends. Human doesn't even have the Aegis because they know, oh, he's
got everything.
Yeah, he's got absolutely everything.
And cheese, he's a monster. Just use the cheese for your mana, bro. We don't care. We want to see maximum APM here.
Yeah, they just really overestimated themselves, and you don't have the grip to actually take Yudomi out of the fight. Not that it really would have mattered in that circumstance, because again, they were ready with the Lincolns from Monster, but I don't know. It really feels like they missed their big opportunity, and like we said, I guess Envy versus Megas is the name of the game, but it is going to be Envy versus Megas and probably an exposed Ancient here.
Yeah, I mean,
be careful you don't get caught here. Envy's still not up for 10, so they will have a shot at putting together some sort of fight, but not really sure how well it's going to go for them. As Gunner gets hit up, he is going to be able to jump away initially. Look at Divine Llama. He's just keeping these heroes busy. It is going to cost him his life, but tier 4s are still falling, so the distraction is being put together. Monster now jumps in with the Solar Guardian, but the Echo from Moo! They just dropped Yuma. Monster has to run, and oh, where's Mr. Jeans right now? He is all the way out of the base. He just zipped out as quickly as he could, so they're going to be able to get him away, but Monster is still trapped inside, and he should be going down. He jumps over the wall, but that's not going to help. Gunner still brings him down, and 4 Zoomers, they're still not dead yet. They are holding on for dear life.
Weights are off. Envy's ready.
Yudomi and Moo are having a big battle. He's getting kicked around. He's actually able to run him down. Probably one of the only heroes in the game that can actually chase this hero.
Oh, okay, they give up.
Alright.
That was wild. Yeah, I mean, that was just a little too aggressive. I don't think they needed to force the Raxes there. Like, I understand why they wanted to, but you, once again, just have to kind of protect your Lyster, and especially like we talked about, you didn't give him any of the protection stuff, so you're just not quite that tanky. And I mean, I honestly think he probably should be using the Titan Sliver over the Leveler when he's in that type of situation, just when you think you might get jumped. The Leveler's like, I'm whacking on your base for free type thing, and otherwise it's like not as great.
Yeah, he's also just playing on top of the Fisher because Moo is just doing a really good job of it.
Yeah.
So it's like, it makes sense for you to just kind of get chain stunned up there, but it's definitely a play that they can't really afford to what happened very much more. They really do need to be a little bit more defense oriented. And of course, they need to use their spells to try and chain up the Ember Spirit, right? If they do get the kill, it's massive, but they don't. And it's also kind of due to Husky getting those really sick nightmares off that are breaking up a lot of that disable. But one spell whiffs, you don't have your defensive spells anymore, and then Yuma's gotten blown up, I think, one too many times. He's going for the Overwhelming Blink as well, which is an interesting direction to go for it, but Zoomers are definitely not out of it. This is the power. You even see him refresh the meta. They're going for Mr. Jeans. Okay.
They're able to burn through the first life. They need the lockdown now to deal with him a second time, but he's got his BKB up, so you would think he'd be okay. His teammates, though, are actually jumping in, but yeah, Monster, you don't actually want to be here. He's going to get stunned up, trying to jump away, but Gunner is directly on top of him, and this Dawnbreaker is really not going to be making it home immediately unless he can maybe jump over that cliff. He's trying to hold his own, but there's just too many people here. He is going to be taken down. Monster will fall, and The good news, at least, is that he's one of the heroes who has his buyback available, so they can get him back up if they need him. But that, I don't know, that felt like maybe a bit of an overreaction. Mr. Jeans was able to get away, and certainly you ensure that he gets away with that distraction, but I don't know if they needed it.
I think they were just worried about the Fiend's Grip off the respawn, which could happen, but like, you know, Yudomi rolls in to cancel that, and then you're like, okay, well, instead he grips Yudomi, so like, okay, I guess I'll come in and block that, and then he dies for that. But it was probably worth it, because honestly, I think the Pango is actually higher impact right now than the Dawnbreaker. So keeping your Pango alive, especially when he didn't have buyback, was fine. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be, you know, we're in EE's domain now. His Megas, his Rax is like exposed. He's definitely cranked up like the maximum energy tunes. I have no idea what that is, but I can only imagine based on what he plays on his stream. So it's going to be interesting, but I do think that the Hustlers should still be able to take this. I really like the overwhelming blink purchase from Yuma, because that's what he's been dealing with the most, is like getting kited, but being able to just drop that massive blink on top of the Terrorblade, if they can combo on him, like, shouldn't be that hard, because he did not build survivability. Like, look at EE's build. He's got his like only tank item backpacked right now, so just trying to recharge his refresher, but if he gets caught, it could be really bad.
Ooh, and again, more fighting.
Antivi doesn't really have any way out of this one, so he is going to be sacrificed, but at this point, I don't know. If D2 Hustlers sort of keep losing the supports, it doesn't feel like it's going to be all that terrible for them. The issue is not necessarily in the loss of the lives. I think it's just the fact that this game continues to extend, and we get towards more and more uncertain territory with late game TB going up against them.
Yeah, I mean, that is a terrifying prospect. He is pretty much already at that stage, so he's like running out of items. I mean, he's got the Ags queued up, right. So that is a big one, to be honest. So if that gets online, that could make a big difference.
Honestly, I'm surprised he's not going for like selling this on Jinyashin and looking at like a Satanic beforehand, because it does feel like it's very realistic for him to die in these super extended fights, but I don't know, he's going to have buyback soon enough, and then he will be able to play in that DPS field again, especially with the second life to play around with, but definitely feels a little bit riskier. But that's also where Gunnar has also ignored his buyback completely, just purchasing out the refresher, so now we got 10 remnants to play with. I mean, Gunnar and 4-0ers, they are picking up a lot of speed. They're actually finished off a lot of items, as well as the Wind Waker on Z-Freak to just break up that chain disable. I think the big problem right now is we're still seeing Device struggle to keep those heroes stunned and picked off. And with all of the defensive items that are now being built up by 4-Zoomers, it's where that margin of error just closes completely. If you miss your spells, then they're going to be there to punish you with all of the damage, because 4-Zoomers have been able to fix their problem. They have so much damage if they're able to beat into the Hustlers.
Moo is moving in with the gem and invis. This is usually pretty threatening. Okay, never mind. He does not want to use that. All right, that's double damage. I think the remnants are actually going to be huge. I think having 10 remnants in these fights will just enable Gunnar, if he's really able to get in there and cause a lot of chaos. It's going to be really hard for Hustlers to deal with that, but the interaction between the Overwhelming Blink and Terrorblade has yet to really been like seen, and I do think that he will just do a lot of damage in these fights with that.
At this point, I mean, both sides are maybe just kind of waiting for some of those buybacks to come up. Yuma just got his, and Mr. Jeans is about 15 seconds away, so they may be looking for their opportunity. They just smoked up on 4. They've got the Infest in, and
Envy on the ward.
Oh, they see him. Maybe they thought that was an illusion, because they didn't jump it immediately, but now Mr. Jeans comes in. There's going to be the Hex on to the TB. They need to keep him locked down, though. Pulling him back into the Vortex Fingers. That's coming out. The Nightmare wasn't there to block all the damage, and Envy's still dead. He'll be taken down, buying back immediately, though. But Z-Freak went down as well, and he actually has no buyback to work with, so if they try and take this fight, it's still going to be a 4v5. We'll see if they actually commit for it. Moo's getting a stun or two down onto Yuma, but that is not exactly your oh god, entrances. Yuma just pushes in. That was bold, but he's still got the blink, so he was able to get himself right back out. But look at Moo. He just continues to sort of act as that barrier, trying to be not too aggressive, but aggressive enough to maybe dissuade D2 Hustlers from going in again.
He's got the Aeondis to protect him, so he's feeling pretty confident. But, I mean, that was obviously a fantastic fight for Hustlers, forcing the buyback on EE, and now if they get jumped in this, Mr. Jeans is an amazing pull here, it could be the end of the game.
Gunnar just got hexed up. Yudomi's rolling on top of him as well. Meanwhile, Mr. Jeans, yeah, he just zips in. Husky taken down. That Fiend's Grip is out. Moo, though, comes in with the Echo. That's a pretty solid play. Storm is locked down. They'll take him out. Now they need Yuma. They're trying to get onto him. Still about 5 or 6 seconds left for the Rage, so he is just not going to be able to get anywhere, and he's going to fall too. For Zoomers, I mean, it was close, but they are sort of pulling this one out now, and they want even more. They're looking for Yodomi, jumping in onto him, but there's going to be that Aeon Disc coming out. The Yule Scepter, though, will keep him locked in place. And I don't know if Yodomi makes it. He does have the roll-up, so that can help. But where can he actually go? He needs to wait for the swashbuckles
Oh,
one more second, but the stun is there, and he will still fall.
Cannot
But,
escape.
Ancient? The other tier 4 got taken down.
Okay, yeah.
There we go. Everybody head back to base, boys. We gotta actually defend that. It's kind of the name of the game, but that's still big for 4 Zoomers. Yeah, I mean, Ancient takes some damage, you lose your tier 4, you have to commit some buybacks, but if you lose that fight, and it was looking that way with Envy getting picked off way back at the start, that's just the end of the game entirely.
Imu did a really good job there. He absolutely stopped Yodomi from finding that entrance again, because he's the key chain disable, and Divide just gets picked off again outside the base. And when they go for that same play where you commit the Vortex, you commit the Hex, they killed both supports pretty much for free with the Storm and the Nakes, but now you don't get the burst on Envy, and this game is far from over. I think Yodomi is so critical in these team fights, and he really is the one that's finding a lot of that disable that Devi is, I think, still struggling to find, and you mess up 1 or 2 times. Of course, all it takes is one more burst. If you take Envy out of the game, it really is looking way more difficult for Zoomers to hold, but the most important time, now you get free Aegis over on your TB.
A whole lot. They get Fresher Shard, Cheese, or the Ag, so I mean this is a big Roshan. And E hasn't been able to farm that Ag, so he's just going to get it for free now, and that can be game winning. He's actually not taking it. They're giving it to Z-Free because he wants to finish his. I guess he doesn't have buyback, so actually that makes sense because he's just going to commit, you know, all his money to that item, and we'll just give the Ag to somebody else. So. But has the Aegis now, so they can't just burst him anymore, and he has the Refresher to be able to actually meta twice. So he's, you know, E is feeling very strong. He's hitting that like ultra late game powerful Terrorblade status, and yeah, I mean it's still looking hard for Hustlers. They still have to close the game out, and they invested a lot of money. Oh wow!
Whoa.
They got Gunner. Okay.
Nope, they did jump Gunner. They're able to take him down. That is absolutely huge. Now, I mean, Envy still has 2 lives, but with Gunner not there to back him up, he could be a little bit more vulnerable. Gunner does have buyback, though, so if they need him, he can rejoin, and he will buy back now as they try to jump in onto Yuma. Yuma's just absolutely chunked. He's gone. His Lifestealer's just getting blown up. Yodomi should be falling here as well. As they've got the stun. The Swashbuckle, though, is getting him away for the time being, but there's no way that he actually gets all the way out of here. They're just going to track him to the ends of the earth, and they will find the kill. So, well, the play on the Gunner is big. You kill him, you force his buyback, but then losing Yuma just kind of breaks it all up, saps away any sense of momentum.
And tier 5s now as well.
Yeah, he got the Desolator on Lifestealer, but that's not really going to matter if you can't hit anyone. So he actually has BKB queued up, which I think makes sense, but he's also just needs to be a little more careful and either go with an Infest Bomb to initiate or just not like walk in so aggressively, because he's been picked off several times now just trying to like charge into EE, and he's like, okay, I'll just unlock you with my Earthshaker and turn around and click on you and you'll just melt instantly. It could go very differently if he was the one getting directly on top of E and like they just unlocked him to death.
And that's the 3rd overwhelming blink they're also trying to finish up on their team. I think Monster was able to finish his. So if they do find the TB without BKB, it should be impossible for Envy to stick on them. But they're definitely just being a little bit too all-in in these initiations. And they didn't need to do that. Yodomi's the one that pressed the issue there in the mid lane. They already killed Gunner at that point. And sure, you get the buyback again, but they're struggling to find the picks after the fact, and now double Mirror Shield picked up, so those jumps are going to be even more difficult, and especially difficult for Devi, who might just hex himself to start things off. It's a really obnoxious item to play against if you are looking for that blink initiation.
Devi hit 25, though, and did opt for the AoE Hex talent, so that honestly could end up playing a pretty sizable role in this engagement. If he can get the Hex down onto...
Giant Ring?
Oh, gosh.
Are you serious?
You could not ask for a better item on Lifestealer.
There you go, he's big.
With BKB.
Oh my god. That doesn't work. You can't be that big and infest someone else.
You're just going to burst, you're going to rip him open.
Physics.
Like, there's not enough room. There's not enough room for you in there. I guess Mr. Jeans is trying to hold him, but all it takes, again, it's one more jump. I think they're going to wait for the Aegis to expire. Unfortunately, that is right in line with Eternal Envy's buyback status, but they got to find something, right? Yeah, Envy even gets the Pirate Hat, which is absurdly good for what he wants to do in this game. He's just going to be right-clicking, so it's a Pocket Moon Shard. It's better than a Moon Shard, and it's just something that you get to play around. He even has a Pocket Mantis style now. Envy just does this on purpose, I swear. 1,000 last hits in 34, by the way.
Oh boy. Yeah, we'll
I
see.
believe it.
Mr. Jeans is, I mean, he's looking. He's just keeping his eye out. And Moo, well, Moo's not going to be easy to bring down. That's maybe not the target that they want right now, but it's the only person that they see. The rest of Four Zoomers doing a good job of just sort of hanging back inside of their, or what remains of their base, because it's almost completely bare here, but they're still holding 63 minutes in, but this next fight is going to be so important, and if you're Four Zoomers, I mean, do you start to feel the pressure to do something? 1 minute left on that Aegis timer, so not having the second life up, the buyback could be there, but oh, okay, there's going to be the jump in. They want onto Husky. They're going to be able to lock him down right away, and now Moo was able to pop the BKB, so he is getting himself out of this fight. Yudomi is trying to continue chasing forward, but needs his teammates here to back him up, and I don't think they really want to go any further than that, but that's a quick pick on to the Bane. You use a couple of ults there, but now either if you wait this out, and if you do, now you definitely are losing that Aegis, or you try to buy back, or you try to force a fight without him in general.
I think that they're just kind of farming. I think Hustlers are just like, okay, guys, we really want to throw this game, but let's just chill a bit. We've got megas, like, wait for our right timings, wait for our items, target the right targets, and these fights shouldn't be this hard for us. It should at worst be, like, even for them, right? I mean, obviously they're waiting at this Aegis, so that's kind of what they're thinking about, but that's probably the type of stuff they're talking about. They're just not trying to force anything too crazy while they wait for this Aegis. They can easily keep them in the base.
Nope. Hexed up, pulled back in, Finger of Death is there. They've got him, he has a buyback, and they may need it because Gunner... No, okay, never mind. Gunner's going to be fine. He's able to pull back, but they lost another hero and the Aegis timed out on him.
Yeah. I wonder when Envy's going to remember he has an Ags on his chicken. He's
Oh my god, he does.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Here we go.
Well, we'll see how this plays out. They're going to jump in onto Z-Freak, looking to just pick off heroes on the edges. And Z-Freak not actually dead yet. He's still holding on. There's going to be the Echo onto Mr. Jeans. Can they lock him down? Yes, they can. Mr. Jeans has fallen. Yudomi is now sort of stuck in no man's land. He's going to try to create as much of a distraction as possible. But eventually, they'll finish him off as well. And that one felt disjointed. Half of D2 Hustlers goes in, and the other half was really not feeling up to it. But you did force a couple of buybacks out from Four Zoomers, but...
That was the goal for sure. They just wanted to force the buybacks and kind of get them to actually do something with the timing they had. I mean, they also forced one of the metas, so that was pretty big. E did realize, I think, about the Ags, so that's nice. But yeah, I mean, to lose like those two heroes that still have buyback, they're not going to really lose any damage on their base even likely. And then they can just move out. And really, actually, what they do want is, and this is the secret to beating the E strategy, you kind of want them to leave their base. You want to get, like, you want to catch them slipping and, like, you know, smoke over after they win a fight like that, like, right away. And then try and get on top of them before they get back on their base and just take a really clean fight. Actually, oh, Devi just got exploded, though.
Able to blow him up, but again, buybacks are available across the board for D2 Hustlers, so if they need him, he will be back, and I'm not really sure they're going to need him. Storm's up in 30. You do see Four Zoomers starting to push down, but they're pushing into Mega. This is just going to be so complicated. They will get the tower, but do they try to push the high ground? Maybe they could force out a buyback or two here? Yeah, they're going for it.
This is awkward, though. This is a really good push in. It's 15 seconds on Storm, so Mr. Jeans isn't going to want to commit it. They'd rather just eat the damage, and Yuma's showing up as well. This is a scary position to be in. This is really uneven. And now with no line buyback, Devi has to be so careful with his positioning.
Well, that Fear AoE. They don't care about this 1-Rax. They just want to slow them down. They might not even lose the 1-Rax, honestly. He's staying around to do
Yuma.
it. But...
Yuma, that's pretty far forward, but okay. He's able to fall back.
They don't want to use Refresher.
Yeah, it would be very dangerous to commit the meta there. They don't want to actually force the full fight, especially because their lanes are getting pushed in, which is being drawn on the map right now by Mr. Jeans. Like, hey guys, you know, just hold them off. It's coming. And now they chase with the smoke. The Zoomers are making the right play, which is just like full-fledged retreat. Luckily, none of them actually walked up into that ward, because that could have just been a game-winning ward if somebody walked through that. But he just TPs straight back to base because he knows like this is his purpose. Defend this thing, and he wins coming back to push these lanes out. But I think that the Hustlers are probably going to keep the pressure going. They only use Devi's buyback there, so as long as he doesn't run in, like, it's not that big a deal. They still do have a lot of other buybacks to work with, so they can make a bit of a play, and they go hard.
Yeah, on Moo.
Jump onto Moo. There's going to be the Aeon Disc, though, coming out, and they will have to back up, but that Aeon Disc is going to be put on that sort of longer... Actually, it's already at the max cooldown, so it is down for quite some time. Devi, though, needs to be a little bit careful. He could get taken down, and he's the one who used the buyback, so, well, they will lose him. Devi gets finished off, but now Envy... Well, he tried to push his way forward. I think he used... Yeah, he did use the refresher there, so the meta is back up a second time. But the first meta isn't really gonna do a whole lot for them right now.
Yeah, they're just, you know, kind of giving away a 1 kill here and there for like a meta use. It's pretty even trades, but if they've forced the on disc, but I think that Divide just stuck around a little bit too much. He didn't really even need to be in that kind of fight. So if he was, you know, if they just forced the on there for what they committed, it would have been really, really good for them. Actually, Leicester just picked up a nullifier, which is pretty solid because they're relying on a lot of these things to keep them alive, right? Like the Aeon disc, like the E-blade, all that stuff. So if he can get through that, he can do a lot of damage.
Ooh, Hidomi's trying to get tracked down. But yeah, I think that's why they go for that play, because of course they want to make the Earthshaker the target, but Hidomi should be fine, right? Yeah, there's no way.
Pretty hard to chase in at the beginning of that roll. Maybe if you catch him on the tail end, but he's out.
That's gonna
Oh my gosh, the full map jump.
Oh god, they're going. They got moved
Yeah.
again. There's gonna be the Aeon disc into the BKB though.
They didn't know about the refresher. Oh,
Mr.
Mr. Jeans.
Mr. Jeans, where's his mana? He's not gonna be able to zip out. They've got him stunned,
Well,
they've got him feared, they've got him locked in place, and Mr. Jeans is dead. That is why we don't really see the full map jump.
There you go. Free tips right there. Do not go across the entire map with your mana, especially if they have an Aeon disc and a BKB. That's a very hard hero to kill.
They were like just caught completely unaware by the refresher on him, I think, because they were playing around the Aeon disc being on that 2-minute cooldown that just wasn't there. But that's a huge pick, because again, they're giving away these hero picks, and then 4 Zoomers are just not really getting anything back. I don't know, this is getting really unfortunate for them, and I think Monster, he just got BKB off Courier. Okay, you got something to play with here, but this is still really scary. Well,
Jumping onto
okay,
Yuma.
Envy.
Gunner's coming in. But okay, there's the Infest. Yudomi should be able to get his teammate clear out of there, and now we start maybe looking at that buyback from the Storm and whether or not it's going to be necessary. For Zoomers, they were trying to push for the fight, and if they could have forced it, yeah, maybe you do force that buyback. But now they've got another objective. Roshan is back, and, well, they've got a pretty sizable amount of control over the immediate area, although Yudomi, he's doing a pretty decent job of trying to sort of cut that creep wave. He's got the Lifestealer infested in him, and, well, maybe he can bait somebody in here if 4 Zoomers try to jump, but that is still risky, because even with the Infest HP, Yudomi could potentially be taken down. All the while, though, Envy did not care. They just went straight in for Roche. They get the Aegis into Moo's hands, because really nobody else has any space for it. Yudomi
Envy
actually jumped in. They've got Envy. Can they lock him down? Nice Nightmare trying to buy time, but Envy still can't get the Sunder off. They'll deploy it now, but that didn't get him a lot of HP. He is still dropping low. The grip comes down, though. Yuma locked in place. They'll finish him off. And the Finger of Death isn't going to be enough. Now Mr. Jeans zipping in. They get the Vortex down. They're still trying to get this 1 TB, but they can't do it. Divide has been finished off. And Monster, well, he's next up on the chopping block. Moo's going to commit the ult to keep him locked in place. Now they're on to Mr. Jeans as well with the stun. And D2 Hustlers, they are not in a good spot here. There's still buybacks up, but that is a clear-cut loss. And I think the only real saving grace there is that half the lineup for 4 Zoomers has to TP back to defend the Ancient.
Yeah, I mean, this game would be looking really rough if they didn't have these megas. It's still looking really rough after that, but I mean, you know, it's what's alleviating us pressure. They're doing, like, Hustlers are doing a good job of keeping the lane shoved all the time, and their heroes are very good at that. But their fights are just getting too difficult to execute, and they're kind of disconnected in some of their goes now. The Lifestealer kind of got left alone there, but I mean, it was also just good positioning by Husky. He like kind of tucked himself in some walls so that Yudomi had a really hard task ahead of him if he was going to try and break that grip. He's actually just going to roll down the lane and try to clear it out, it looks like.
Here's the grip, though.
They used the shard.
Aeon disc. Yeah. Okay, that'll bail him out for now, but he's starting to run out of time on that Rolling Thunder. He's going to blink himself away. Oh.
Okay.
And now he's kind of caught. There's going to be the spit out getting moved directly into the fight. Yudomi does still have the roll up, but that's just not going to last long enough. He's dead.
Oh no.
Well,
they're going to try to end the game. They're forcing every buyback here.
Dangerous territory as the TB pushes his way forward. Refresher shard.
Lifestealer really doesn't want to buy back, so they're trying to hold that at least.
Right. Actually,
But
Orb
Storm
is coming back.
Mr. Jeans has a tough decision, though.
The Glyph is going to buy them a lot of time, though, so maybe they can wait this out. Envy's starting to pull back a little bit. Yuma's going in. The Nullifier's there, but... Okay, good cookie play. That's going to push Envy a little bit further out to safety. He'll sunder his teammate as well for good measure. And now Gunner's being sort of pulled back as well. But Yudomi pushing forward. They have the Infest. Could they get the target?
Like,
Oh, they're going to try for it.
okay.
There's the Fiend's Grip, though, coming out again, but it's not onto Yuma. But Yuma, look at his HP. He's just getting absolutely demolished by Envy, and he's dead. Immediately having to buy back, but while he does, Divide Llama will be taken down. Monster will fall. Mr. Jeans is gone, too. And this is just looking like it's sort of desperation mode for them. They're trying to throw everything they've got at this, as Yuma is once again going to push his way forward. Z-Freak will be taken down, but it's Envy that they still don't really have a solution to right now, although, okay. The Infest is going to be used offensively, and they've got him! Infesting into Envy to take him down, but the TB is going to buy back, and the fight is actually still going. Yuma trying to fight his way through this. Mr. Jeans has died a second time, though, which means it's really just down to him and Yodomi to try and pull off some sort of miracle, but now Envy's back in, TP'd onto his teammates. Yodomi with the Wind Waker trying desperately to get his teammate away to safety, but it's just not going to be enough. Yuma will fall, and that's it. That should be it.
Yeah, that was impressive plays. Mu, especially in that fight, held all his spells really well, and I mean, Yodomi tried to make some space, but I don't think he's going to survive this, is he? Oh.
They've got one creep. He had to overwhelming blink for it to try and keep the backdoor going, but they're also just going to get it. Literally the one creep walking down the... It's just over.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Well, 4 Zoomers, they do not give up 74 minutes, but they are able to pull off a pretty incredible comeback. This was what we were sort of talking about when we saw that TB picked up, but it's something different to actually see it. And D2 Hustlers, I mean... They were obviously trying. It's just as that kept going later and later and the TB got stronger and stronger, they just ran out of options really to deal with him, and honestly the rest of the cores too, especially Mu on that Earthshaker. Just absolutely massive for 4 Zoomers.
Yeah, the Ember and the Earthshaker actually I think had more impact that game than the Terrorblade. I mean, even their scores, like they were just all over the place. They comboed really well together and were just picking people off one by one. The Terrorblade was certainly like difficult to deal with, but I do think that it was just the inability for them to really hard commit on him because of how much threat and like how much of the fight that the Earthshaker and the Ember Spirit were breaking up.
It's so rough. And then it's like, what, 2 high ground pushes that you kind of flub up on D2 Hustler's side, and we're like, okay, it's fine. We just got a bunch of buybacks. Let's just go next. We have that easy engagement. And then 4 Zoomers kind of switch their targets. I feel like every time D2 Hustlers got an important pick off, it was on a hero that was okay with getting picked. Like, first it was Mu who gets picked off. Okay, he doesn't have buy, whatever. We lose 2 racks. Then Gunner's the one who gets picked off. He has to buy back. It just feels like 4 Zoomers play with such a deficit. But the 2 times where they killed Yuma underneath the tier 4 towers, I think D2 Hustlers just really undervalued the burst damage coming out. And after those 2 instances, we didn't see another huge pull from Mr. Jeans. I felt like after that point, we didn't see that sick initiation that he was doing pretty much the entire game. It felt like he really dropped off the face of the earth. And then we get in this really weird wishy-washy situation where suddenly Yuma can't walk up to Envy. Then the game gets way too difficult for them to break high ground. And even though they're playing versus Megas, again, you got Ags Earthshaker, you got Ember Spirit, you got TB. You're completely fine with it. I think they really missed their window.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I mean, they did have a lineup where the Hustlers just had to commit. Like every person on their team had to be ready to be like they were crushing the fights when it was like Storm jumping in and then they just Dawnbreaker stunned off of it. But they started screwing that combo up and it was just, I think it demoralized them to, I don't know if they like stopped doing it because of that or also the itemization makes it a bit harder. I mean, you know, when you start getting like the Aeon discs and the BKBs and you can't actually combo somebody, that was like a big part of their game plan, obviously. And once that came into play, I think it made the game a lot more complicated for the Hustlers. They definitely could have, you know, closed that game out probably, but I think that they just had to give up a few less of those critical deaths, like especially that one top when Yuma just got blown up. You know, those are the types of things as a team you have to look back on and be like, yeah, we screwed up some stuff in the end game. And like once you get past those like 50 minutes, though, it just gets so chaotic. So you really want to try to close it before that. And they obviously were in the position to do that. They just should have, you know, when they knew that Ember had no buyback like that at that first top push for the tier 3s, like they just should have had people like diving in to break smokes and to create space for the life stealer to hit the racks.
Yeah, and then just like never using aggressive buybacks. I feel like that was the big thing that we were missing. There's so many times where 4 Zoomers commit one buyback and then D2 Hustlers like, okay, we got a buyback. Let's just go next. And then they get picked off here and there, and then it gives so much time over the 4 Zoomers side. I just feel like there were so many opportunities where, sure, it's a risk, but it's a risk that you kind of have to pull off. Where before Envy gets this like refresher BKB Manta style, and you have to commit on him 2 or 3 times before you can actually get everything out of the tank. I think there were opportunities where, sure, it's difficult to get Mr. Jeans back in the fight, but maybe just try to go for a bait on Yadomi or Monster. It just feels like there was never that moment where, okay, Yuma dies and it's really bad because he gets burst at the beginning of the fight, but they use so much because he buybacks in and then the game ends. I feel like there was never that moment where D2 Hustlers were definitely a little bit too safe, especially once they started getting out killed. And then it just felt like after that point, again, there was never an opportunity for them, even though they really were winning this game. I mean, look at win probability. Dota thought they won. I thought they won, but they just weren't able to ever actually hit the ancient, it feels like.
Yeah, I saw Yuma at one point queue up a heart actually, which was really interesting because that's super good for dealing with the type of like situation he was, running into, which isn't very common. But it's like the things he needed was to be able to siege buildings without getting like poked down, like ideally baiting out the meta, because when the meta's committed he can die in heart, but if meta's not being used they're never going to kill him. And then he just kind of can slap on the buildings, and then if he gets gone and he can run back, especially when he bought that overwhelming blink, I thought he was going to do something like that next. But he went for more of like the fighting build because the game got a little too late, but I think he had the money to do it if he just didn't save buyback. And that's one of those things that sometimes you just have to be like, recognize where you're at in the game, be like, this is our time to win. If this game goes to 50 minutes or 70 minutes into E's domain, right, it's like you're not excited for that situation. So I think that if you buy that heart and really commit to this concept of our lifestealers whacking down buildings, and like we're just going to play behind him and interrupt spells, that changes the dynamic of the game so much. And it might have worked, but it's one of those things that's just hard to like know 100%. But I would have really loved to see it with like the kind of situation they had going.
Right. This feels like D2 Hustlers maybe tried to play it a little bit too safe, and their window ended up closing on them. For Zoomers, meanwhile, able to take advantage. So all of a sudden, this series is tied up, and the best of 3 comes down to one singular match to determine which of these two will be moving on. So we've got a game 3. After a 74-minute long affair, these two teams are going to be going at it again. So we are going to try and wrangle them back into the lobby for that third and final match. In the meantime, though, we're going to be stepping away for just a few minutes, and we'll be back with the start of game number 3. So stick around, and we will be back in a few moments.